Bolt fam. Today, the energy in Los Angeles just feels different. There's big news on offense, a potential shockwave in the heart of the defense, a young monster quietly exploding in the numbers, and a bold decision about the future of the backfield that could split the fan base. There's good news, worrying news, and a playoff picture being quietly redrawn inside that locker room. You're not going to believe what we've got today. So sit down, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, because the lightning is going to strike more than once. Stay until the end, because everything could shift tonight. To start, let's talk about the kind of update that instantly brings hope back to every Chargers fan. The possible return of Omarion Hampton. After weeks derailed by injury, the bye week, and uncertainty, Jim Harbaugh finally confirmed that the team is opening Hampton's return window. That doesn't mean he's already ready to go against the Raiders in Week 13, but it completely changes the mood inside the building and in the stands. Hampton played only 5 games because of that ankle injury that killed his momentum in the middle of the year. Even so, look at the numbers. 66 carries, 314 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, a 4.8 yards per carry average, and more than 20 catches out of the backfield. That's not just any rookie. That's the kind of running back who forces defenses to change the way they line up at the line of scrimmage. Without Hampton, the backfield turned into a battlefield. Najee Harris, who arrived to be the steady veteran presence, was lost for the season. Hassan Haskins never really got going, dealing with his own physical issues. That left Kamani Vidal to carry the load almost by himself in an offense that already puts pressure on Justin Herbert. That was never the plan. That's why opening this 21-day window is such a big deal. During this period, Hampton can practice, take contact again, rebuild rhythm and confidence without counting against the 53-man roster. It's like the staff has a private lab to test exactly how far that ankle can go before they have to decide. If he proves he's ready, the Chargers might finally get the spark they've been missing to balance this offense down the stretch. Now imagine a real playoff push with Hampton healthy, Vidal coming in as a complement, and opposing defenses finally having to respect the run game again. That takes pressure off the offensive line, opens up play action, extends drives, and keeps the defense on the sideline longer. The only question is, will Harbaugh risk accelerating this comeback against the Raiders, or hold back a little longer to have Hampton flying when the schedule gets brutal? Either way, just knowing that he's close to returning is enough to light a fire under the entire Bolt fam and change the tone for the weeks ahead. Take a deep breath, Bolt fam, because now things get really serious. There's a rumor that started as a whisper and turned into a storm in less than 48 hours. And at the center of it is Christian Wilkins. Yes, that Christian Wilkins. The former Raider who left Las Vegas in such a strange, turbulent way that to this day no one really knows what went down behind the scenes. And that's exactly why this rumor is so hot. The fit with the Chargers is so obvious it almost feels scripted. The Chargers are still looking for that dominant 3-tech, the guy who blows up the interior of the line, forces the quarterback off his spot, and funnels offenses right into the arms of the edge rushers. That piece hasn't arrived yet. The defense has clearly improved under Harbaugh, but it's still missing someone in the middle with presence, attitude, and most of all, instant impact. At his best, Wilkins is exactly that. Relentless motor, violent hands, disruptive penetration, and a tone-setting edge in the trenches. That's the perfect equation for rumors, and that's why analysts around the league are starting to circle the Chargers as one of the most natural landing spots. No Schefter tweet, no Rappaport bomb, no visit on the books. But there's that familiar smoke every fan recognizes. When different insiders keep saying it makes sense. It's a logical move. This is a natural fit. It usually isn't random. Wilkins didn't just leave the Raiders because of money. There were questions about health, guarantees, and locker room friction. A player of that caliber and personality walking straight into Los Angeles? That changes the entire posture of the defense. It changes the tone. And just imagine the emotional fuel. A former Raider with something to prove, suiting up for a division rival and detonating the trenches from the inside. Of course, there's real risk. There's the medical file, the locker room history, and the price tag. It would be a full-on swing. The kind of move that can turn a decent defense into a terrifying unit. Or into another headache. And while everyone debates, one question won't go away. Does this front office have the guts to turn this rumor into reality? Because if that day comes, the AFC West is going to feel the impact immediately. Now let's shift to one of those players who might not dominate the national talk shows yet, but inside Los Angeles has already become a serious topic. Tuli Tuipulotu. It's wild how, even while putting together a rock-solid season, he still doesn't get close to the recognition he deserves outside the Chargers bubble. Maybe it's because he isn't as flashy as other young pass rushers. Maybe it's because moving on from Joey Bosa and then trading for Odafe Oweh messed with the narrative. But the truth is simple. Tuli is playing grown man football. The pressure on him started early. The moment the Chargers cut ties with Bosa and made it clear this would be the year Tuipulotu had to step into a leading role. Then came the Oweh trade, and a lot of people took that as a sign that Tuli wasn't ready to carry the unit. But none of that showed up on the field. Quite the opposite. Tuli responded the way every fan loves, with production, intensity, and consistency. He hit the bye week with 8 sacks. 8. That's borderline elite production. It's just one shy of his career high, with weeks still left to play. And his 48 pressures? That puts him among the top 10 in the entire NFL according to Pro Football Focus. We're talking about a 23-year-old competing with some of the best in the league in pure disruption. Eric Smith from Chargers.com also pointed out something a lot of people outside the market don't see. Tuli has become a tone setter, a guy who defines the intensity and mindset of the defense. He talks more. He directs guys. He carries himself like the kind of player great units are built around. And that, Bolt fam, is the sort of growth you can't fully capture with stats. Is he already a superstar on the level of Joey Bosa or Khalil Mack in their primes? Not yet. But look at the bigger picture. Tuli and Oweh gaining reps together, their chemistry growing, and a front office that has already made it clear it's going to keep investing in the defensive front. That's a modern blueprint: youth, explosion, and a clear long-term plan. If the national media doesn't want to notice yet, that's their problem. We're watching it happen in real time. Tuli Tuipulotu has become an essential part of the Chargers' future, and the deeper this season goes, the clearer it becomes that he's not just a promising young piece, he's a foundational one. Now we get into one of those topics that pulls at every emotion at once: logic, fear, hope, and nostalgia. The future of the Chargers' backfield. After a season defined by brutal injuries, especially to Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton, a lot of people wrote off the idea that this duo would ever really get a chance to shine together. But the truth is, that door is still open, and more realistic than it might seem at first glance. Before this devastating Achilles injury, Najee was one of the most durable running backs in the league. 4 full seasons without missing a single game, all of them with at least 1,000 rushing yards. Durability was his calling card. That's part of why this injury hit the team so hard. Nobody expected this to be the year his body would finally push back. Now, heading into the offseason as a free agent, the obvious question is it worth trying to bring him back? Harris would be a classic buy low player. Cheaper because of the injury concerns, but with a ceiling higher than a lot of backs who'll hit the market. And beyond that, he already knows the system, understands what Jim Harbaugh wants, and has built chemistry with Hampton in practice and in the limited snaps they shared. As a duo, they quietly worked really well together. Najee posted an 86.7% success rate on his carries, and Hampton sat at 47% across his full stretch of games. Impressive numbers considering how much the interior offensive line struggled early on. That's why a lot of people inside and around the building look at this situation and think, if Najee comes back healthy, this can still be explosive. Especially when you think about cost. The running back market is going to be crowded and expensive. And a Chargers team that needs to invest serious resources in rebuilding the offensive line and patching up parts of the defense might not be able to go all in on higher-end options like Breece Hall, Rico Dowdle, or J.K. Dobbins. Now imagine this duo behind a revamped interior offensive line in 2026. A ground game that actually scares people, attacking downhill, chewing clock, and punishing defenses. That changes the entire identity of the offense. It opens up play action, takes hits off Herbert, and lets the defense play with fresher legs in the fourth quarter. Symbolically, it's perfect. Hampton as the future, Najee as the experience. Together, finally delivering the backfield the Chargers thought they were getting this season. In the end, it all comes down to Najee's body and how he responds to the rehab. It's the kind of risk that can pay off big or fall apart quickly. But given the cost, the familiarity, and the upside, it's still one of the smartest options on the table. And a lot of people in the Bolt fam believe that if there's even a decent chance of it working, Harbaugh is going to want to take that swing. After a day like this, it's almost impossible not to feel like something big is brewing in Los Angeles. Hampton edging closer to a return. Wilkins floating around as a wild rumor. Tuli emerging as a cornerstone piece, and the very real possibility of a reborn backfield with Najee give the future a completely different look. This feels like one of those turning point stretches where everything can suddenly click. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these storylines fired you up the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick with us, because this Chargers season is far from over.